A teenager tried to insist the drawing in his handwriting was done by the computer. Years ago, while doing tech support at a school, I helped a teenager with an issue on his laptop. His assignment was due that day, but the file was corrupted, so his teacher sent him over to the help desk to get it sorted out. I tried to open the file in Word, no dice. I renamed the file to .zip because .docx files are just zip files with the contents inside. Still no dice. I opened the file in Notepad to view the raw contents, and in the header I saw the letters P and G, so I renamed it to assignment.docx to assignment.pg. Staring back at me was the kid's name, scrawled in his own handwriting using the tiny netbook touchpad in orange. I turned the laptop around and said, "Your document was actually a picture with your name written on it. You'll need to actually do the assignment instead of lying to your teacher." The kid then said to me, "I didn't do that. The computer must have done that because I didn't. I just did my assignment, and next time I opened the document, it wouldn't open." Liar! Liar! I said, "So the computer wrote your name in your handwriting in this particular shade of orange and you renamed it to a Word document, overwriting your already completed assignment?" They shrugged and said, "Yeah." So I said, "Here's your laptop. Head back to class and start working on your assignment. I'll let your teacher know." What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle Jon. Today we're taking a look at r/Tales from Tech Support. I don't understand how kids think they can get away with this kind of stuff. You know, it's painfully obvious when something's written in your handwriting, so to speak. And it's also obvious when something is a picture that you're trying to pass off as something you did digitally on the computer. I'm old, but even I know the difference. Although the one thing that doesn't surprise me at all anymore is how much kids will lie, and they will stick to their story till the bitter end, swearing that something either happened or didn't happen, or it wasn't them, or whatever. Looking you right in the face, deadpan the whole time. And I guess they think if they repeat it enough times that you'll actually start to believe it. Or they've made themselves believe it to the point where they think it's actually fact now. But man, that's dedication, I'll say that much. So it's been a little while since I've done any stories, this past Saturday as a matter of fact. And I'm going to try to get back on a little bit of the hamster wheel here because, well, the reason we haven't done many stories this week is because we've been trying to get our house cleaned up and organized. As you may or may not have noticed, there's a lot less stuff on the surfaces, especially my little crap hole corner here, which is usually stacked full of every random bit of stuff that I've been working on or should be putting away and haven't. But yeah, so we're getting there. Organization, and we're trying to put our hands on everything we own, at least put our hands on it so we know how to organize it, where to put it, whether we're getting rid of it, keeping it, whatever. And after 20 years of being in the same spot, it's tough, but we're getting there. All right, next story. When a call out of the blue from Dell wasn't a sales call. Way back, I was working on the service desk for a large organization who almost exclusively used Dell for their end user hardware. On a fairly quiet day, I get a call from Dell. "Hi, this is Name from Dell. I've come through to company's name IT department." I say, "Yes, this is the service desk at company name." Dell says, "I was just calling to see how often do you refresh your hardware, specifically monitors." At this point, I'm pretty sure it's a sales call, but it's fairly quiet, and if I'm on the phone, I can't get another call, so I play along. I say, "Usually 4 years, but can be more or less than that." Dell says, "Okay, so you wouldn't dispose of one after, say, 2 or 3 months?" I say, "Yeah, it's very unlikely." Dell says, "What do you do with your disposed IT equipment?" I say, "We use the computer recycler who collects it. I don't know what they do with it after that." Dell says, So the reason I'm asking is someone's made a warranty claim for a faulty Dell screen. When I ran the service tag serial number through our system, I can see we sold it in a bulk order to company name about 3 months ago. Looks like you also purchased a few extra years warranty on it too. The person who put through the claim mentions that they purchased it new on eBay about a month ago. I say, yeah, that is a bit strange. Dell says, "Yeah, just wanted to see what was happening, as it does seem a little out of the ordinary. You would dispose of a screen so soon, especially with the extra warranty." I say, "If you can give me the service tag, I'll check our CMDB. That should confirm if it's been retired or not." I get and run the service tag in our CMDB. I say, "Yep, it's showing it's an active asset, i.e. not disposed of. We got it about 3 months ago, and it should be in our IT storeroom ready for deployment right now. What I'll do is log a ticket, noting the service tag with the team that handles purchases and find out what happened. I log the ticket, we exchange reference numbers, and end the call. Then I basically just forget about it. A week or so later, an immediate termination request is put through for one of our other IT guys. We were told he no longer works for our company, and he left very suddenly without explanation. Later on, I find out through the grapevine he was fired for theft of company property. Basically, he stole a new Dell monitor from the IT storeroom that was intended for stock on hand and sold it as new on eBay. Ouch. The monitor had a fault, and the purchaser on eBay logged a warranty claim directly with Dell, using the eBay purchase record as her proof of purchase. The seller's eBay account belonged to the person who stole the monitor, and that's how he got caught. Dumbass. So in this day and age, no company that I know of isn't going to keep track of serial numbers of monitors and, basic equipment. Monitors in your computer body at the very least. Laptops, keyboards and mice, maybe. Some companies do. I know school systems do. They keep track of every little piece, like even cords. But for people to think that they can swipe this stuff and sell it on eBay and not get caught, eventually at least, there was a video I watched not too long ago. Well, I don't know. It could have been a year ago. But anyway, where a kid was working at one of the Amazon warehouses. And evidently, maybe a couple times a day, he was swiping a product out of one of the fulfillment bins. You had this conveyor going by or going up and down or whatever that comes by with an order number on it. And it basically tells you what you're supposed to be fulfilling in that basket on the conveyor. And it keeps going until it gets packaged. Well, evidently, he would turn, like he knew where the camera was, and he would try to turn just right so that he could pocket something, unpackage it usually, and then pocket it. And toss the packaging in the bin or in another bin. And especially with Amazon, how would you even think that they're not going to know? Like, those guys are sharp. They may not catch the first one or the second one, but eventually you're going to get caught. And it's they pick up on patterns first, but like behavioral patterns. Back in the day when I ran my own companies and ran, construction shops for other people, we would mark every tool that belonged to the company. And, most of the time, the obvious part was just a bit of spray paint on the tool to mark that it was ours. What a lot of people didn't realize was I also had a soldering iron. I didn't have a wood burning kit, but I did have a soldering iron. And I would etch markings into the plastic part of the tools somewhere. We also had an engraver, little, stupid vibrating hand engraver. If the tool didn't have plastic parts, we would make sure to engrave those same markings on some metal part. A lot of them were cast aluminum, so you had to be careful not to crack through the aluminum, but some kind of quick marking in an inconspicuous spot that, we could prove if, our stuff ended up disappearing, that we could prove that it was ours. And people would still, they'd get it, and the spray paint's easy. They could cover up the spray paint with their own color spray paint. I got the idea from you guys, so I started marking my tools the same way. Yeah, let's turn it over and take a look. If they refused, cops got involved. Then they'd have to do it anyway. If they let me look at it, then I could right away see that it was ours. So, I don't know. I can't stand a thief, so what can I say? Don't muck with my setups. Here's the characters. Customer, owner of a business, payer of the bills. Me, the OP, Dr. FW, a specialist of some fame in a small town, traveled to foreign countries fixing people. Back in the late 1980s, I had my first customer. He was using a program to run AutoCAD to do drawings for clients. He would put in the dimensions and the program would print a list of components and then do a drawing automatically and print it. To make it work, he needed to create an autoexec bat and config.sys that not only had lots of buffers and files, but also loaded device drivers in high memory. Being DOS 3.3, it needed to be QEMM. Not sure what that is, and after using Optimize, supplied with QEMM, you then needed to adjust each memory segment manually to get the best results. Of course, being somewhat paranoid, I created a directory and 2 batch files, saveconf.bat and rest.bat. These are all foreign to me. One I used as I altered config sys and autoexec back files, and the other I had as insurance. Then came the phone call. Customer says Dr. FW is visiting, and while he was looking at my computer, he told me I didn't need files 50 and buffers 45. He reset them to 20 each, and now AutoCAD doesn't work. I need it to work first thing tomorrow. Is there any way you can come fix it for me? I say, well, tell Dr. FW not to muck with my setups and type this, rest. Customer states, it says 2 files copied. I say, now turn it off and turn it on again. Customer says, oh, I hope this works. I say, now it's fixed. Customer says, let me try it. Printer sounds in the background. It's working. You're a genius. What do I owe you? I say, today it's free. Next time, it'll be lots. Dr. FW never touched that computer again. I don't understand why people, if the guy's a doctor, he's not a computer specialist. Now, he may know a few things about computers here and there, but he's not a specialist. Why would you go in and tell somebody to change something if there's no problems? I can almost understand if the guy in the office, if he was having issues and, you gave him a suggestion, maybe. But if there was no issues to begin with, why would you go in and tell somebody to start setting different parameters and whatever and just change things for the sake of changing them? I've been around construction my whole life, and there will be times that I will give people suggestions if I think they're going to be either unsafe or out of code. Now, there's a lot of codes that I've lost touch with over the years because building codes are constantly evolving over the years, and, you can't always keep up with every single one if you're not in the trade every day. But I can get pretty close to the point where I know it's safe and it meets some kind of code from the last, 5-10 years. But even then, I would tell them, look, if you're really worried about it, I would definitely get your architect, your engineer, whoever to take a look at it and, double and triple check some stuff because something about this getup doesn't look right and it might match the drawings, but I don't think it's going to work. But I wouldn't just have them change it just because I think it should be changed. There's got to be a good reason. So I don't know. Let the computer people stick with the computer stuff. You go do the doctor stuff. Back to help desk. Why do you want me to connect to the computer without the issue? If my main responsibilities run dry, running the IT side of in-house events, I'm expected to assist with our IT hotline. We have two infrastructures, one for internal, desktops, and one for external, laptops use, where external video conferences are allowed. To connect to the external environment, the user needs to start a remote tool and enter a code that I provide. Today I had the following fun call. User says, I have an urgent problem. I can't hear anything in an external video conference. I had the same issue yesterday. I say, oh, you should have called us earlier. Usually the sooner the better. Some conversation while I start my external remote tool and log in there. User says, well, I was busy and just joined from a coworker yesterday. Now I urgently need to hear in this call. Can you come over? I say, not really. I'm in home office today, but no worries. I'll remotely connect. Please start Program X. User says, I can't find Program X. I say, but you're outside of Citrix, right? User says, yes, I am. On my desktop. Wait a second. Desktop? Not on your laptop? User says, yes, I can't find the program on the desktop. I say, but the video conference with the problem is running on your laptop, right? The user says, yes. Then please try searching for Program X on the laptop. User says, I found it. Me, while remoting in, you seem to have a headset connected and the sound is routed there. User says, oh yeah, I didn't want to use them. I switch the settings, sound starts in the background. There you go, I set everything to your laptop audio devices. The good old help desk days. Relaxing calls, full of small riddles, and always good for a laugh. What more could you want? I remember when I first started dealing with any kind of remote connections of any type. It was a little confusing for me, I got to admit. Because you got to remember that, you're connecting to another machine and you're expecting that machine. So once you're connected, nothing you do on this machine really matters all that much. All your settings and stuff are on the remotely connected machine. And so it's hard to remember. It's sort of like having, when I have this PC with, multiple monitors hooked up, my cell phone over here, my laptop over here, and, I go to hit the mouse and I have two wireless mice, one for my PC setup and one for my laptop setup. And I'm looking at the laptop and I grab my PC mouse and I'm moving the cursor and nothing's happening. And sometimes it'll take me a good couple seconds to realize, oh, you dumbass, the other one's over here. It's not too often that I have to have two machines hooked up, but every so often, yeah. So I could sort of see where the confusion sets in. Although, like OP said, if you've got a problem, you got to call in sooner. You can't just, drag things out and say, oh, I'm busy and avoid it until tomorrow when, we're busy too. So, yeah. A thank you from beyond the grave. In 1991-92, I worked for a company that was a contractor for a super big telecom company. We initially developed a user manual for their first Windows-based communication software. We then transitioned into being tech support for the software. So few people knew how to use Windows in those days, we were busy. The company was on the East Coast and only 3 of us to cover a 12-hour day and an increasing workload as the software became more popular. The software allowed PC-to-PC communication, but the company developed the software primarily to enable PC to PBX systems. This system was a business telephone PBX system that was prevalent in the pre-cell phone days. I got a call from the same person almost daily for about 2 weeks. We'll call him Mr. Needs Help. He worked for a large company and was utterly tech illiterate, but was in charge of the PBX. He was having considerable trouble, and I had to talk him through the same processes several times. One thing I give him credit for was that he actually read the manual before calling. He was also a really nice guy, which can make a difference in how you relate to people. It's the start of a new week and I get a phone call from an unknown woman asking for me. I told her she got me and asked how I could help. She said her name was Mrs. Needs Help and wanted me to know Mr. Needs Help had passed away from a heart attack in his sleep over the weekend. That was unexpected and I kind of stumbled through offering my condolences. She said he had talked to her about how helpful I had been and that I never lost my cool when he had so much trouble. I thanked her for the call. That was one support call I'm glad I only got once. You know, every once in a while, I read one of these stories that is all at the same time. It's heartwarming, it's touching, it's a feel-good kind of story while being a little creepy at the same time. It's kind of weird getting a phone call from some random customer's wife who thanks you. Well, first starts off by telling you that your customer's dead and then thanks you. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's more of a feel-good story than anything, but it's got to be a little shocking, when you're just working trying to fix computer stuff and somebody calls up and says, "Hey, Mr. Needs Help died from a heart attack over the weekend." It's like, what do you say to that kind of stuff? Oh, I didn't do it? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. The Terrible Negotiator. This story happened long, long ago, probably more than 15 years. I'm an independent Mac consultant, meaning people Google me up, email me, and I show up at your house to fix your Mac problems. Nowadays it's all email, but back in the day most people would call me. So I get a call from this lady. Sometimes they just wanted to schedule an appointment, sometimes they want to talk it out for an hour first. This lady had a million questions. We went back and forth for an hour. Everything seemed to go well, and she seemed happy and normal. No red flags. She left it with something along the lines of, "Okay, let me think this all over and get back to you," which was fine with me. At that point in time, I think my hourly rate was $65 an hour, so I get a voicemail from this lady a few days later. She no longer seemed normal. Her tone was very angry or annoyed. Her message basically said that she's interested in hiring me to help her, but she's a nurse and only makes $40 an hour, so she doesn't see why she should pay me any more than that. So if I'm willing to work for $40 an hour, to call her back. She didn't get a call back. Better to find out they're crazy before you're at their house already doing work that you may or may not be getting paid for. How dare people do that? I hate that. Okay, so you're a nurse and you make $45 an hour. You're looking for tech work so who cares? Listen, I was a carpenter making less than $20 an hour, doing fine finish carpentry, mind you, and some cabinet building. and if I needed a service tech to come in and work on my washing machine, and he was charging a rate of $55 to $70 an hour labor, what was I going to do? Say, well, I only make 18, so I need you to, get on it. No, that's not how it works. First of all, you're paying for knowledge and experience and all that stuff. It doesn't matter what I get paid. If I need a service done, I can fix certain things on my car. Sometimes I have to Google and search things up on YouTube to figure out how to fix them. But if things are extra tight that week and I need to get something fixed, most of the time I'm fairly comfortable turning a wrench on my car. But, there's just some things that, you're better off letting a mechanic handle, and their labor, the shop labor, I don't know what the individual mechanic's making unless it's a owner-operator shop. If their hourly labor is $75 plus parts, then it is what it is. Otherwise, fix it myself or take it somewhere else. But comparing their hourly to my hourly is just dumb. It's not even apples and oranges at that point. So wait, I wonder if that would work. So if I want to go buy a house and, my monthly mortgage is going to end up being on a new house, say some crazy number like $2,600 a month, and I tell somebody that I only make $2,000 a month, does that mean that they'll let me pay $2,000 a month on a 30-year mortgage? Somehow I doubt that. Nobody cares what I make. Well, the bank does. They care what I make. And honestly, they're only going to give me a loan for what they think that I can actually pay back. So, yeah. Just why? This is from back in the day when I did walk-in customers. Client calls with an all-time favorite, "I spilled a cup of water over my laptop, chief." I told him to come over after our lunch break with a request to leave the laptop as is and to remove the battery if possible. He came in after our lunch break. The laptop looked like it came straight out of a war zone. Screen so broken it could double as Tom Brady's ACL. Keys banished to the shadow realm, and the hard drive being turned into a maraca. Oh my god. I was prepared for anything, but not to his answer to the question, what did you do to your poor laptop, Mono? His answer, I put it in my tumble dryer, and I thought it would help. Oh my god. After that, he told me that the only important thing to him would be his data. I told him data recovery might be hard given his hard drive turned into fairy dust. After that, I let my boss talk to him, the owner of the company, and went for a smoke break. Needless to say, he bought a new laptop from us. First issue here. Why is it people can't follow simple instructions? Leave the laptop the way it is and pop the battery out if possible. A lot of laptops these days don't have a removable, the ones you just snap out. You have to take the case apart to get the battery out. But, simple instructions. And then bring it to us after we're done our lunch break. It's not rocket science. I don't understand why the guy couldn't just do what he was told. Nope, gotta think for yourself and say, if I dry it out, maybe that'll help. In a tumble dryer. I wonder if it was an electric or gas dryer. People think it doesn't make a difference, but gas dryers get way, way hotter sometimes. And it's funny, there's an old trick where, if you spill stuff on one of these keyboards, you can usually, rinse it off in the sink or even run it through the dishwasher. And you got to give it enough time to actually dry when you're done washing it. And then, usually a couple days later, you can plug it in. I'll usually blow it out with air before I let it dry and then check it again with some air towards the end just to make sure there's nothing, lingering in there. And usually it's fine. And then you'll have people spill things into their laptop keyboards, and for some reason they've heard this tale about washing a keyboard and stick their whole damn laptop in their dishwasher with the battery in it. I don't know. Some people just need to stop thinking altogether. Although if you can't follow simple instructions, then you're kind of screwed either way, aren't you? He came, saw, and conquered. So I'm an IT administrator working for a company in the automotive industry, and we recently hired a new head of sales. The guy was, let's say, very motivated in every single aspect. So he decided to simply do a complete changeover of all the hardware in his department that was originally scheduled by us, all by himself. In some cases I would appreciate this kind of help, but in that case he really went all out. He simply removed the whole network sockets with a screwdriver because he couldn't figure out how to get the cable off the sockets. But my personal highlight was him simply trying to remove a power strip mounted to a conference table. He assured me he did do this before, and about 2 minutes after that sentence, all the power in the building went out, which led to us restarting everything in waves, since just putting the power fuse back in position wouldn't work. Everything would try to start at the same time. The end of the story is that he got a ban from doing anything technical by himself again. Help is nice, but only if you know what you're doing. My first post, and English isn't my first language. Hopefully it meets expectations. There are some people in this world who should just never, ever, ever touch a tool. In any way, shape, or form. While I applaud their enthusiasm for wanting to help, it's really not helpful, like OP said, if you don't know what you're doing. And even then, if you do know what you're doing, it didn't need to be done right then, or, there's an order to things. You just can't go about willy-nilly trying to take things apart just because. If you're the head of sales, deal with sales. If you have a request for IT stuff, put in a request and, wait for your answer. The answer may not be what you want to hear, but that's okay. You'll be fine. And OP, your English in this story was perfectly fine. Sometimes syntax doesn't match for people who don't normally speak English as a primary language. Sometimes it makes it a little harder for us to read, for those of us who don't even speak a second language. But other than that, I stumble when I read anything, honestly, when it's out loud. But yeah, perfectly fine. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the stories today. And till the next one, we'll see you.